Welcome to week 8/chapter 8, Rejecting the Okay. This is Storytime with Scott. Welcome this afternoon. I'm going to do my best to keep this at 10 minutes because this is, I think, my third attempt, maybe fourth attempt now, of trying to create a video. And there's so much good information in this chapter. It's just like, and it's not just this chapter, it's this whole book. So much great information that it's hard to even skip a line. It's hard to outline it. And I think I'm not the only one figuring that out with this book. So, reject just okay. Pretty much the summary of this is that we need to strive for excellence in everything we do. That people will see if we are just okay and we accept that. Just checking off the to-do list. In our ministry or our job or our home life or being a parent or what have you. I can't tell you how many times it's so easy. The kids will come, I don't feel like cooking, I'm tired, been working all day. Kids like, what's for dinner? I'm like, help yourselfie. And of course they love it because then they can go do fruit and chips and, pepperoni slices or whatever they decide to do. But that's just me giving them a just okay experience with that dinner. And that's something that I've kind of gotten out of this. I mean, there's a lot more I've gotten out of this, but that's one thing that kind of hit me is we have a significant amount of healthy selfies here at the Suter House. In 1988, Disney released a movie called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, at the time, when you were mixing movies with animation, there was a lot of, the technology wasn't available to do a lot of things. And there was a scene where the main character grabbed Roger Rabbit and took him into a dark room. And the live action footage shows shadows dancing around the room. This created a challenge for animators because they wanted the dancing shadows to match those of the characters as well. That particular computer generated special effects, was still in its infancy when this went around. The audience probably wouldn't have noticed anything. The standards for this type of special effect weren't high. The animators thought and decided, well, you know what, it's worth our time to invest in trying to make this better than just okay. So it was only one smart part of the movie, and they probably could have got away with not adding the shadows, and 99% of the people wouldn't have noticed, but they would have known. And they were committed to making the movie excellent from the beginning to end, even though this meant hours of extra work. The scene birthed a phrase in Disney's culture called bumping the lamp. They refer to bumping the lamp anytime they want to go the extra mile to make something excellent. Bumping the lamp means rejecting just okay. It's about going above and beyond. Even when it's possible, nobody will notice the extra effort put into making it excellent. Now imagine if churches put up this type of effort into creating excellence for their guests. What if a small group leader put this much effort into the meeting? If a youth group leader did this for high schoolers? It would mean pursuing what is excellence even when it results in extra work that most people might not notice. That's what rejecting just okay is. And excellence is doing the best you can all the time. This means creating excellence for the guest during the first impression, the final impression, and every interaction in between. The problem is it's very tempting for us to settle for just okay. A lot of us, businesses, individuals, tend to fall victim to just okay. We don't mean to most of the time. A lot of time it's repetition and we don't even realize we're doing it. But it's easy to begin accepting just okay. Are we calling something first class that really is just the bare minimum? And there's a couple stories in here. I'd like to, go over them, but again, there's the time's limited on this video, and again, I hope you read this chapter because it's so wonderful. We want to make it a better experience for the guest. North Knoxville campus has a wonderful reputation for being striving for excellence with our volunteers. I want to say that we are probably a good model for Faith Promise, that we represent our brand well. So when people, who may have other experiences with other churches that might not be as great as what we are trying to provide, or even what that church intended to provide, we have to represent our brand well instead of just settling for okay. And if they see us striving for excellence, then they're going to automatically determine that the church is excellent, the brand is excellent, and this will work in many facets of our lives. Sometimes we will say, "Hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it," because people won't see it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Sometimes we just checking off that to-do thing that we have to done, and just getting it done because it's got to be done, and we just say it's okay. Sometimes we don't feel a burden for it. We're burnt out, and we need to step back and say, why? Why is it I got into this in the first place? And sometimes we have to be called out on that too. We have to be humble and be called out on that, because it is noticeable. Not rejecting just okay is very noticeable. And when it feels like the stakes are lower, maybe service wasn't, maybe service was only half of what normally is because of a holiday or something. Sometimes it's easy to just kind of slack off a little bit. Hey, we don't need to do what we normally do, but you know what? We still might have that first-time guest that that wants to see that excellence. That's going to have that major impact on them. It's easy for us who volunteer, who get the walk with Christ, to put our faith in God and not our faith in man. But it's really hard for a newcomer who probably doesn't even know that to accept that reality of a walk with Christ like we do. A guest should never get shortchanged because the stakes seem lower. How about when we get lazy? We're tired. We didn't get good night's sleep. It would almost be better if maybe you called in or said, you know what, I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep. I don't feel I'm going to be my best. Yes, it could be a good quality to see that you are you're dedicated. But if you can't give your best that day because of how you feel or whatnot, then you need prayer, you need rest, and in order to give guests that experience that they're looking for. Everything can snowball. If we just accept just okay, it snowballs to everybody. If the leaders are accepting just okay, then the volunteers are going to accept just okay. If the volunteers are accepting just okay, then the church, the people coming to the church are going to be acceptance of the just okay. You're not going to grow. You're not going to develop. It's something. This is why we have to strive for excellence. We always want to bump the lamp. We want to try to create that environment where we are always improving. We don't want to say we've always done it this way and be okay with that. Change doesn't have to be drastic. We talked about this in an usher meeting today at my house, that we can make 52 small changes a year. By the end of the year, it's going to be one drastic change. I'm very guilty of saying, hey, here's a list, 10 pages long, we're going to make these changes. And then we don't make but a couple of those changes because it's overwhelming. And through the comeback effect and through just some other books I've been reading, I feel with the patience of and the dedication of using 52 weeks in a year to make those subtle changes based off of the comeback effect will make our ministry and us as individuals and us as people that much better. Got to speed it up here a little bit. There's so many good stories in here. What is excellence? If we must reject just okay, what do we embrace instead? We need to be humble. We can't be full of pride. Excellence has to be never ending. We constantly have to pursue it at all times. We have to be relentless in that. We have to be relentless in the pursuit of that excellence. Always thinking about the culture, and we always want to focus on both the guest and we cannot forget about the volunteer. It's very easy to focus about guests because we're about saving hearts and minds and souls, and we might forget about our volunteers through that process. We never want to do that. There are 5 areas where we have an opportunity to create excellence for our guests. Us as leaders, us as volunteers, and the processes, along with the culture and the brand. We kind of explained that a little bit before, that we can't reject any one of those. Those 5 areas right there, we have to constantly ask ourselves, what can we do to improve? Let's put ourselves in guest shoes. What are they feeling when they come to the parking lot? What do they feel when they come through the doors, into the lobby, to information, to the worship center, to the worship experience, to the sermon, to leaving, both through the lobby, through the doors, and back through the parking lot? What are they feeling? As volunteers, what can we implement to strive as excellence to give them that excellent experience? What's worth starting? What's worth fixing? What's worth ending? Sometimes we have things in place that we've been doing for so long that we think it's like part of the foundation, but it doesn't have any positive effect in any way, shape, or form, and it's something we might just have to cut out of our routine. It's okay. It's okay to start things. It's okay to fix things, and it's okay to end. We have to be humble in this process. We can't be full of pride. I was that guy, and maybe still a little bit of that guy that, or that person that, if I got constructive criticism, I took it so personally. I'm like, I'm doing everything wrong. I'm doing everything wrong. But you know what? When you're constantly striving for excellence, there's going to be so many times, whether it's with your business or your family, that you're going to be called out because you're going above and beyond. You're going to be that focus of the attention that it's going to almost feel like that no matter what you're doing, you're failing. But really what you're doing is you're constantly improving. You're just stepping outside of that box. You're striving for that excellent. You are not the ordinary. You are the extraordinary. So through this chapter, it talks a lot about not accepting just okay. And we have a fantastic ministry at our church. We have fantastic volunteers and leaders. We are striving for excellence all the time. But I also know that occasionally we all need that extra oomph, that extra push. And I am so proud to say that my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ that I go to church with have put me in my place many times. And I'm so very thankful for y'all that I know that coming back from this quarantine, coming back for this COVID, that we are going to be striving for an excellence that's going to be unheard of, both in Faith Promise, in our community, in East Tennessee and Tennessee, maybe even the nation. God bless you. Thank you, everybody. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. It's going to be so difficult not to hug all your necks. We'll see you then. Bye.